Hello and welcome back to the Private Client Podcast. My name is Chami. I'm an independent financial advisor and director at Glams IFA and co-founder of the Private Client Network. We're a networking group for private client professionals trying to close the gap between our various professions in order to increase our collective knowledge, improve the service to our clients, and grow our respective businesses. Today, I'm delighted to be speaking to Laura Davidson, Business Development Executive at SRG, Specialist Risk Group, focusing on all things, of course, private client. Laura, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Charlie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
No, it's going to be good to have you on. So we were talking just before we got started, and you said you started in insurance like right back, sort of straight from school, like finishing A levels and going straight into this wonderful industry. How did, as we were discussing, it's not lots of people in I think it's a finance thing, insurance thing, like lots of us like don't necessarily aim to do what we end up doing. But how did you end up, or how did you start in insurance?
As I was saying to you, I kind of just fell into it. I completed my A levels. I had no real career path in mind. I sort of just floated through school, didn't really know what I wanted to do, um, and had no real plans. And it got to the summer holidays, and it was my mum who said, "You need to go and get a job. You're not going to sit around all summer holidays.
Yeah.
What sort of things you want to do?" And I was like, I really don't know. I don't mind really. And my mum knew a guy who owned a local insurance broker in the town that we lived.
Ah,
And she spoke to him and said, "Do you need an office junior?" And he said, "Yes." And this is again going to give far too much away about my age. But I started with him as an office junior in his local brokerage back in the days where we had paper files. So I used to do all the filing for all the account handlers and all the execs and run across the office backwards and forwards to the filing cabinets. And that's really where it started. I've never left.
well, it's good. I mean, I'll tell you what, not to make a cringy connection to networking, which is what we do, but personal networks, professional networks, it's how you got your start. So
Yeah.
good on your mum for like hooking you up and getting you into
There
the
was no way she was going to let me sit around all summer, getting under
wow.
her feet. No way. She was,
That's good though,
"Go
right?
get a job."
Well, yeah, but would you have wanted it any other way?
No, no, I
No.
wouldn't. I wouldn't.
So what was your thoughts of it? So obviously that's we were joking beforehand about, in school all you ever see is medical dramas or legal dramas, and there's not, it's not too much else. So what was your first impressions? Obviously you get this job in a small brokerage. Was that dealing with private clients from the off, or was that dealing with other things?
So they were a brokerage that dealt with personal lines insurance and commercial insurances, and they also had an IFA in-house. Um, but there was no sort of real specialism, no private client specialism as such.
Yeah.
I think really the private client side of things has grown exponentially in the last sort of 10 years as a specialism in itself. Back in the day, it was just personal lines or commercial lines.
What does that mean? Personal lines, commercial
So
lines?
personal lines is home, cars, um, things that you need, like you or I
Yeah.
would need, your normal three-bed detached homes. It was the days before online presence was a thing and aggregator sites was a thing. So you needed a local broker to
Yeah.
insure your home or any bits of jewellery that you had. And we were able to accommodate clients sort of from the very small three-bed semis all the way up because we had direct links with underwriters, and it was back in the day where you picked the phone up and you spoke the quote through over the phone and got a rate that way. So there wasn't a particular specialism back then,
Yeah.
and it's just sort of grown from those 20 years ago to where it is now, I think.
Did you like it straight away? Did you get it straight away, or did
I
it take a while
liked the
to? Did you have to
office.
fall in love with it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we love it. It's different and it's vast. And although now I specialise in the private client side of things, which is, a whole nother ball game and far more specialist, even just helping people with their insuring their cars or their homes, there's still every client's different.
Hmm.
And what I liked about this industry from the offset really was the personal side of things. It's very, very much relationship driven. Some of that has been removed now with the online presence and the fact that clients can go online and do the standard stuff themselves, really.
Yeah.
But back then, it was all about your relationships with the client, with your underwriters, with your insurers, and that's still in the private client specialism is still very, very important. The relationship side of things is what hooked me, and having the conversations and really understanding what the client needed.
Yeah. That's interesting. So do you think it was like online changed your part of the market? So did it push it, I presumably higher net worth? Because if you got online taking care of your normal houses, your normal
Mhm.
cars, or whatever else, does that mean that your sort of the brokerage sector went basically richer, for want of a better word?
Yes and no. Over the last 10, 15 years, a lot of local brokerages struggled because of the online presence,
Yeah.
because clients weren't so reliant on that relationship, and they didn't have they didn't have a need for a local broker anymore in that standard home and motor space. So it took a lot of that away from the local brokerages, and they've had to adapt and change. And I think that's where we've seen this growth in specialisms now,
Like what?
like the high net worth, the
Oh,
private
okay.
client insurances, and then the more niche commercial sectors. You still, I don't specialize on or pretend to know an awful lot about commercial insurances, but what I do know is that the more complex cases can't be written online, and you do still need a broker to help you with that.
Yeah.
The knowledge that us as business execs have is still important and is still needed in those specialist areas.
So how do you get, like, how do clients come to you? Sort of new inquiries. I guess you've got renewals presumably, which keeps you quite busy. So like insurance policies coming to maturity, and then do you spend most of your time on renewals, or is it like
Not
how
me
do you split it between new
personally.
clients and renewals?
The role that I'm in now with SRG is a development role. So I am new business focused. So it's about going out and finding those clients now. Um, Historically, yes, I've managed, books of business for clients with the renewals. So you pick them up as a new client and you deal with them the whole way through that annual cycle, any changes that they needed to make. And then you deal with the renewal and make sure that, what you're offering them is still the best option for them, because it does change.
Yeah.
Clients' needs change throughout the year.
Yeah. Circumstances change for sure.
Absolutely. And underwriting appetites change. So, just because it was a Hiscox policy last year doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the best option for the client in 12 months' time. So as a broker, it's our job to really understand our clients, get to know them on a personal level, what's important to them, and then find a policy that's fit for purpose. We're not a pushy sales specialism. There's no, it really, really, really is, and I can't stress it enough. It's so important that the relationships are there and in place, so that you're not just selling a product for the sake of selling it. We're really passionate about making sure that it's the right fit, and
Yeah.
every client's different.
What's an interesting case for you guys, or interesting client, interesting case?
Oh, they're all, it does sound a bit sad, but they are all interesting and they are all unique.
That's good
Um,
though. I mean,
yeah,
that
what you have in your home will be different to what I have in my home, and it's the same across the spectrum. The ultra high net worth people who have yachts and their own private helicopters. They're all different
yeah.
and they are all unique, and it's so, so important to know your client.
Yeah.
And that's something that we do really pride ourselves on at SRG, is making sure that we understand what they need and what's important to them, so
Yeah.
that we can help
And
them.
it is. I mean, I mean, we don't get heavily involved. I mean, we don't get involved in insurance particularly at all. Sort of the type of stuff you do. We do to a limited extent with kind of life insurance and critical illness,
Mhm,
that kind of thing. And what we say usually when we're taking on new clients is that, life can be unpleasant sometimes,
mhm,
and not nice things can happen. And what we try and ensure that a personal tragedy or a personal yeah, like bad experience doesn't turn into a financial tragedy.
Mm.
Because that, I mean, that's the real, I mean, a really awful thing when something bad happens, but then it's you know, it's like a secondary thing. Like this primary bad thing happened, and then you like the financial implications come afterwards.
Absolutely.
So, and that's, I guess, where insurance steps in and
I've
mitigates that
said it.
risk.
Yeah, I've said it before, and it's a necessary evil, and you don't know that you need insurance until you need it, and when you really, really need it, that is when the service that we will be able to provide you. And
Mm,
some of the worst times of your life, you will have seen it with life and critical illness, probably even to a worse extent because you're dealing with people that are, personally ill. But if somebody's lost their entire home in a house fire, the last thing they're going to want to be worried about is speaking with claims handlers, loss adjusters,
yeah.
people that can replace their goods for them, and that's where our policies will really step up and take away a lot of the emotional stress from the client at arguably the worst time, one of the worst times of their lives. That's where the broker is so important.
So do you guys get from a brokerage side, do you guys get involved in that when an event happens and and a claim needs to be made, do clients go through you still, or do they have to go
Yes.
direct to the insurance company?
No, we will be involved. Cradle to grave is a phrase that's thrown around quite a lot in our industry, but these clients, because of the relationship that you have developed with them, the conversations that we have, they're in depth. We have to understand what the client has in their home,
Mm,
and how we would replace that should the worst occur. So it's about understanding what the client has and then finding an underwriter that's going to provide a policy that will fit that should the worst occur. Um, I've lost my train of thought. What was your question?
no, it's just I was talking about helping on the claims side.
Yes,
Does that,
yes. Sorry. So yeah, that is the benefit. One of the huge benefits of having the broker
yeah.
is that we are your point of contact. Um,
So
for
you can go,
anything.
so basically, can you go give the insurer a bit of hassle if they're not being cooperative? Can you go and sort of
Absolutely, yes,
whip
we
them a
will
little
do
bit?
that. We will liaise with the insurers, we'll liaise with the loss adjusters. There's so many moving parts in a claim. There will be maybe three, four, five different people from insurers, claims handlers, loss assessors
Yeah,
that the client potentially, if they don't have a broker, will have to liaise with, and then they'll have to keep a track of what's happening and when. These claims sometimes go on for months,
yeah,
sometimes years. And if you haven't got a broker to liaise on your behalf, it's horribly stressful. So yeah, in answer to your question, yes, we would do all of that for you.
yeah,
We've got an in-house claims team at SRG, and they are the specialists in claims, all sorts of claims. So when a client comes to us and we sell them the policy, they have me as a point of contact. They have a dedicated handler in our existing business team, and they'll also have one dedicated claims handler allocated to them as well.
yeah.
So SRG would see anything through from start to finish for that client so that they don't have to.
Yeah, that's well, it's really good to know. Probably one of the reasons to have a broker on board. Do you guys prompt people? So, like, inflation over the last like 5 years has gone crazy, like house price inflation,
Yeah.
but even sort of personal stuff from like watches to jewelry, like the price of gold, particularly last year, as you will find on most investment forums being discussed.
Mhm.
Price of gold's gone nuts. Do you find that people are often underinsured? So maybe they took out a policy, they've been renewing it for 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, but not adjusting or not upgrading the sort of cost or
Yes.
estimated value of what they're insuring. Does that happen a lot?
So often it's a real concern, and again, this is where the broker or us as the specialist will guide those clients to make sure that they're adequately insuring their pieces or their properties.
Yeah,
Underinsurance is a huge issue. A lot of the insurers now will give access to surveyors so that on the larger properties they will send a surveyor out, a qualified surveyor who knows the cost of rebuild materials, site clearance. A lot of clients don't realize that it's not just a case of putting the bricks back together. The more bespoke, the heritage properties, for example, they have to sometimes source specific types of wood to recreate the timber structure in the
Yeah.
buildings. So yeah, at the point of a new policy, we would always discuss sums insured, and if need be, and a lot of the time in the types of insurance that we deal with, we would make sure that a surveyor has gone out to assess the adequacy of the sums insured for the client for the main structure, and it will take into account the cost of site clearance as well.
Yeah.
Just as an example, is something that clients don't always think to consider.
Well, look, you don't know what you don't know, right? If that's not,
No,
if you're not in like building or construction, or for that matter, insurance, I mean, you don't
no,
know. People
you
just,
wouldn't know. And that's, we are an advised service, and it's what we do day in, day out. So we do consider ourselves, experts in our relative field, so that we can guide the clients through things like that, and making sure that jewelry valuations are up to date and no
yeah.
more than 3 years old. As you've pointed out, the cost of gold in the last 3, 5, 10 years has gone through the roof. Clients don't realise that they
Well, do you
have
know
to
what? I'm
actually.
literally, as we're discussing this, I'm thinking about what I have. I'm literally thinking now, what have I got on my home insurance? And I'm thinking, did I add that? I don't know,
You'd probably
whatever it
be
is.
surprised. I love to use the analogy when I'm speaking with a client that when it comes to your contents, if you was to imagine picking your house up, tipping it upside down and giving it a real good shake, anything that falls apart or comes away, that's your contents.
Yeah.
So your clothes, a lot of people will just think, well, it's just my sofas, but it's not. It's your curtains, your clothing, your
My
wife's
clothes aren't worth
handbag
anything.
collection.
Jen, my partner, her clothes might be worth something, but
There you go. There you go. And
probably
it's a
not.
new for old basis as well. So what you bought 10 years ago, you need to make sure that you're insuring it for the new replacement costs. So yeah, I love that
To be
analogy.
fair, though, some of my stuff maybe counts as vintage now. I mean, I've
There you
had it a
go.
while.
Could be worth even more than the new
Yeah.
replacement cost, Charlie.
What's sort of on the lighter side of this topic? What's the kind of cool things that you've looked at or seen people have that are like a little bit more unusual or interesting?
The yachts, I really love to see the yachts. The big,
That's cool.
multi-million Sunseeker yachts.
Oh wow. Do you get to go on them?
No, I haven't as yet. I'm still waiting for the invite. I do really love the whole. It's a minefield, and it's far beyond my realms of understanding some of these properties and some of the the art collections or the jewelry collections. Some people have got one ring worth more than 3 times my house, and it's
God,
just
wow.
you look at the numbers on the paper, and it just doesn't really compute a lot of the time. But they're all they're human. They're people that have a need for a service that we can provide, and we're
Yeah.
passionate about making sure that we can provide the proper service to them without
Yeah.
the hard sale.
You should ask. You know what? People who've got boats tend to be really quite passionate about it.
Yes,
Um it's usually something that they really like. It's often their hobby. It's very much, or can't speak for all of them, but often they're quite keen to like be on it and show it. So
shouldn't I? I should just
you
throw it
should
out
ask, I
there.
think.
The yacht party. Where's the invite?
Well, I didn't, maybe not a party, but definitely. Well, you never know. Give it a
Why
try.
not the party?
Maybe you will get on it. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, you guys must see some really
Yeah, it's
interesting stuff.
fascinating. It really is. It really is. And they are all different. They are all different. And what's important to one, cigar collections in the basement, that's all temperature controlled. And
Yeah.
it's another world. It really is.
Did you have anything like earlier on in your career, like maybe when a claim came in or something, or the first time you saw the claim side of it, where you were really like, wow, Jesus, this is so valuable. Did that ever happen when you
Yeah,
sort of really saw the
daily,
benefit of it
daily.
daily? Wow.
Especially where clients where maybe there is a potential issue or they haven't understood that they needed to cover a certain item in a certain way, um, to be able to get an insurer's decision overturned. For example, they might initially say, well, you were underinsured by 20%, so we're only going to pay out 80% of your claim. For us to then step in and explain, well, it was a genuine misunderstanding on the client's part, or, to get those sorts of decisions overturned for the client.
You can do that.
It's not always, we're not magicians, but
Some,
it comes back to, making sure that we've done our jobs properly in the first place and that we've understood all the nuances of the policy wordings. Each insurer's wording will be slightly different, and to make sure that the policy we've sold is fit for purpose for that client. It really does come down to really understanding the client,
yeah.
because not all policies are created equal and
Yeah,
they're
I could
not all
see
the
that.
same. And sometimes it is worth paying a little bit more to make sure you've got the extra bit of cover that you're going to need. Not all clients need it, so we'll
Yeah.
sell them, the lesser value policy. It's all relative, and
Do you
it's
get the courtesy car? Do you not get the courtesy car?
well, exactly. And if you've got a client rolling around in a Ferrari, they're not going to want a Fiesta as a courtesy car if anything goes wrong. So we will align them with an insurer that's going to give them a like for like courtesy vehicle in that instance. Because
I don't
imagine
know.
turning up to school to
Laura,
collect your
they're missing
child in
out.
a
My first car was a Fiesta, and I tell you what, fond memories of that thing.
right. Actually, no, I'm a liar. That my first car was a Peugeot 205,
Oh wow, good
and that
car.
would be deemed a classic now.
Um, it's cool. You clearly like it. Would you? Is it type? Is it this sort of sector or industry? Like, would you recommend it? I mean, it's hard. Like, it's a bit brutal out there for sort of school leavers, people starting out in their careers. I think the jobs market is tough. Would you recommend it?
I would, because it's all I've ever known.
Yeah,
And it's harder now than it ever has been with, what was first of all the FSA, now the FCA. It's made broking difficult, but for the better, because it makes sure that the clients, they're treated fairly. Um, and I think to have seen it through from those very early days where we wrote a cover note out on a piece of paper, to watch the industry change so much over the course of 20 years, it's a constant evolving beast, and you have to be passionate and driven and determined to succeed in this industry, and you have to want the best for your clients. If you're that sort of person who is driven and is a problem solver, then
yeah.
absolutely I'd recommend this industry in a heartbeat, because it is problem solving.
What a great endorsement. What a great endorsement. It's in the same in financial advice, financial planning. The profession has moved on, has changed. It's amazing. The standards are so high. I
Yes.
honestly think the standards in financial advice are so high. And that was, as much as we all moan about regulation, it was driven by regulation. And
Mhm.
I think the standards are high because of it.
That you've hit
So
the
that's
nail on the head there.
good to
That's
hear.
exactly what it's done. It's raised the bar, and you have to be at the top of your game in order to succeed, and do the right thing by your clients. So it has been a process, all of the regulation, but it was a necessary evil, I think.
Here's a question for you. So is there anything, so say you're a financial advisor, a solicitor, listening to this, is there any sort of circumstances that we might be in with our clients where we should be thinking, like at what point do they mention something that we think, all right, you should really see a sort of specialist insurance broker? Is it when they mention, I don't know, a watch they got? Like, is there anything that should, I guess, ring a bell for us to
Trigger the
think,
thought process. Yeah, I mean, in your industry, you're going to be dealing with obviously private clients, and the more affluent amongst us, and they
yeah,
will,
generally?
9 out of 10 of them will have a Rolex at least. Um, multi-million pound properties.
Hmm.
Um,
So anything where we think the assets are above a certain,
yeah, we sort of benchmark at SRG. We've gone through a real process in um, trying to understand where we can add value to the
yeah.
client. And this has been led by, a lot of the online standard aggregator policies that the clients can do themselves. We would never, ever, ever oversell a policy for the sake of making the sale.
Hmm.
We're very, very much about where we can add value. So we've benchmarked ourselves at properties £1.5 million plus.
Yeah.
Those sorts of clients will have two to £300,000 worth of contents as a minimum,
Yeah.
and that's sort of our minimum entry level. where we add the most value is in the ultra high net worth space. So, you know, people that are paying £10,000 plus annually for their home insurance, because they are so intricate and more bespoke in their needs. And that's where a broker will add the best value in terms of advice, in terms of understanding policy wordings. Otherwise, you know, if you've got your 3-bed semi, you can do it online and pay a couple of £100 for a policy that will absolutely perform when you need it. Why would you pay £2,000?
Although it depends where that 3-bed semi is, I guess.
Well, yes, quite. Yeah, London. Yeah.
Awesome. That's been really interesting. Thanks for your time. It's great having you on. It's like clearly you really love what you do and love the industry. And I do think it's one of those, like, sort of bringing it back to what we were discussing at the start. It's not an obvious thing, you know, for someone starting out in their career. It's just, when does it ever come up? But the insurance sector is massive.
Huge.
It's globally connected. You know, not just from the private client space, but commercial and international and all kinds of things, from shipping and offices and all kinds of stuff. So I can 100% see why it's interesting and you've enjoyed.
It is, and it's diverse. It's so diverse. Some of the specialisms we have at SRG blow my mind, and I'm still trying to get to grips with understanding a lot of them, because I'm relatively new. I've only been there 6 months. But there's like teams of people that deal with offshore divers and all of the associated liabilities that go with that. You know, we've got a trade credit team, political risk. It is such a vast industry, and it's never boring. It's definitely never boring.
No, it sounds like it. Awesome. Thanks again. Thanks for coming on. It's been great having you.
Thank you, Charlie. It's been lovely chatting with you today.
All the best.
Thank you.